Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaqat Zaman. Hope you guys have a fantastic time. I'm gonna try out TikTok today. TikTok live. I heard TikTok does like a live thing. So inshallah, let's try out TikTok, inshallah. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so let's put this over here. All right, so ready? Okay. How do I go back to this? All right, so it's showing me my computer. Wait, what can I see? Let's look. Okay, cancel that. No. No, I can't do that. Okay, I apologize. I thought I knew how to do this live thing on TikTok, but unfortunately I don't. Okay, let's just see this. Yeah, there must be some way. Anyway, I'll go back to Instagram. We'll work that one out next time, inshallah. Alright, so let me just type this in, guys. Give me a second. Q&A. Saturday. Alright. Okay, so ahlan wa sahlan again, guys. Welcome to this video. Let me just move my tea up here out of the way. All right, so let's see what you guys have been up to. So Tanweer wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And by the way, my name is Liaqat Zaman. This is my YouTube channel, Roots of Knowledge. And on Saturdays at this time, I do live stream with you guys. And I try to answer questions that you guys might have. Right enough. Let's put it over here. Okay. Okay, so yeah. Tanweer wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. I was praying behind a Maliki who only said Assalamu alaikum at the end of Salah, not Assalamu alaikum. What's the basis for this? So there are some narrations which indicate towards one salam. So some of the narrations indicate that the Prophet ﷺ used to give one salam. So that's why they take this. So the Malikis have several opinions about this. Hanafis and other madhabs, they say two salams generally. Yeah, so it's two salams. Okay, I think it's going to be difficult for me to have this right over here. I think I should have it in front of me so I can see this as well. Yeah, so Kazma Taz wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. Please explain in detail, if you can, how to pray on a plane, preferably show it. So on a plane, you can either pray standing like normal salat, or you can pray sitting like this. And you simply, instead of doing ruku and sujood, you simply just lower your head. That's all. Nothing else to do. There's nothing to show. It's just simply, just as you would pray if you were ill. So if you were ill, how would you pray? So for ruku, I'd go down like this. And then for sajda, I'd go down a bit lower. That's all. That's if you're praying seated. And if you're praying standing, then obviously you pray in the normal fashion. Kazma Taz, is there a book with all the makruh fatwa from the subcontinent? I have never heard of one. And do you think the scholars in the Indian subcontinent are remake too many makruh fatwas? No. Okay, MK, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Hello, sahlan, my brother MK. How are you? Please, can you answer my email question? Yes. I will answer your email question, my brother. My brother. Okay, let's answer MK's email question. First of all, let me go and find it. Okay. Right. So basically, the question is with regards to when scholars mention about the attributes of Allah, sifat of Allah. And normally, I don't go into Aqidah issues on live streams, simply because they require lots and lots of nuances to be explained. Otherwise, people can get very easily confused. But because I love my brother MK, I will explain it for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He mentions for Himself three things. Names of Allah, so there's something called names, like Allah is a name, Ar-Rahman is a name, Ar-Rahim is a name, Kareem is a name, As-Salam is a name. Right? These are known as the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Then you have something which is known as the actions of Allah, the af'al of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. So when Allah creates something, He created this. He created Adam from clay. He created the skies and so forth. So all of these actions that Allah mentions in the Quran, and then you have a third thing called the attributes. So the attributes is a certain sort of, like you can say, like a description that Allah has attributed for Himself. We are not allowed to make up descriptions for Allah according to the majority of the scholars. We can't just say Allah is the boss, or Allah is the Don, or Allah is the CEO. We can't say that kind of, right? That's not allowed because Allah has not mentioned it for Himself. So we can only describe Allah with what He has mentioned for Himself. So when it comes to the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some of these attributes can be divided into two types of attributes. Those attributes that cannot have an opposite. So for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all hearing. The opposite of hearing is deaf. You can't attribute deafness to Allah. Right? That is absolutely not allowed. Allah is all seeing, basir. You can't attribute the opposite of this to Allah. And then you have those attributes which the opposite can be attributed to Allah. So for example, Allah is pleased with so and so. Therefore, you can say the opposite as well. Allah is angry with so and so. Pleasure and anger. Right? Both Allah has mentioned by Himself. Now, attributes which are deficient for Allah, attributes which are considered to be deficient we are not allowed to attribute them to Allah. And if we do, we have to interpret them. So for example, like in the Quran, Allah says, Allah forgot them. Yeah. Nasullaha fanasiyahum. They forgot Allah, so Allah forgot them. Yeah. Or Allah makaru or yukhadi'u wa huwa khadi'uhum. So we cannot translate, we cannot say Allah forgot them, because forgetfulness is a deficiency if attributed to Allah. It does not befit Allah to call Him deficient, to call Him a forgetful being. So what do? We interpret this. So all the Mufassirin say we interpret it as Allah will treat them just like the one who forgets someone else. They will be ignored, in other words, on the Day of Judgment. So that's what deficiency basically means. Does that clear it up? Yeah. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ibi, ahlan wa sahlan, my brother Ibi. Umair, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. I am very well, my brother Umair. What's happening up north? Up north, kya ho raha hai, bhai? Kya chal raha hai ajkal? North, Shimal mein. This is a tea that I bought. I think it was from what's that shop called? Is it called Matalan? Matalan, yeah, can't remember. Yeah, bought it from there. Was it TJ Maxx? TJ Maxx one of them. You know, they have like some house things. They have some nice strange teas there. Aqil Mir, wa alaikum assalam, my brother Aqil. Ibi emailed you an Aqidah question. If not sure if you checked it out, I will check, my brother Ibi. I will check for you. Okay. Okay. The email I have completely stuck in terms of which Aqidah to follow in terms of the Salafi Athari Aqidah or the Ash'ari Maturidi Aqidah. Both sides bring quotes from the Salaf to support their position as well, which doesn't help. Then the Salafi Atharis claim we cannot. One thing you have to understand, there's a difference between Hanbali Atharis and Salafi Atharis. Okay, remember that. There's a difference between the two. If you want to learn more about them, then I would definitely encourage you to read. If you want to know the differences between Hanbali Atharis and Salafi Atharis, this is a very good book. It's translated into English. Get hold of this. Very good book for that. So I would suggest if you want to follow the Athari position, that is totally fine, but then follow it properly. Yeah, follow it from the Hanbali school. Yeah, this is a very classical, good book. I've got a Ghazali Mishal and Tahawiyah to read through. However, I have contentions about that, since those of the Salafi Aqidah do not like it. I also have Naqta Risala Tadmuriyah issues such as Khalq al-Quran, etc. Athari Maturidi thinking seems to be philosophical intent. Okay, then there are sites as Ash'aris above the throne, etc. Okay, I am very confused to which wonderful, as both they are upon the Salaf. I will mention that the Salafi Athari Aqidah to bring more quotes. However, I can appreciate the where do I go with this? I honestly do not know how to get out of this Aqidah rut I'm stuck in. It would be great to sit with someone knowledgeable on this. Okay, so let me explain something to you guys about the history of this whole Aqidah issue, yeah? So look, classically the position on belief, Aqidah, is whatever's in the Quran and whatever was explained from the Prophet ﷺ, that's what we believe. Khalas, end of story, close the book now. Nothing else to add to that. That was how the Sahaba understood Islam, Aqidah. That's how the Tabi'in understood Islam. That's how the Taba Tabi'in understood Islam. That's how it has always been. Okay. Then what happened was, because foreign beliefs started to creep into the Muslim circle societies, right? Foreign beliefs like what is Qadr, what is decree, what does it mean that Allah has attributes? How can Allah, the one who is free of deficiency, have attributes? How can He be hearing, all hearing? Doesn't hearing require there to be some sort of a system where sound has to pass through something? So these problems started to come, and Muslims started to become like confused and deviated. So what happened was, there were like this Mu'tazila group that popped up, and they began to use rational understanding to purely, like almost you can say, sanitize Aqidah. They wanted to sanitize the whole of Aqidah with their rational understanding. This was good. It was a good intention at the beginning, but then this resulted in them coming out with strange, very strange things, right? Like things like, you can never see Allah. Even in Akhir, you can't see Him. Or the Qadr, we invent our own Qadr, our own decree, right? So this became very problematic. So there was a group of scholars who began a movement where they began to combat problematic beliefs using rational. How much rational can you use? So this is where the Ash'ari school started, the Maturidi school started. Their aim was not to invent a new Aqidah. Their aim was simply to take the Aqidah of the early scholars and then begin to protect it. So imagine like this. Imagine you have a safe. Right? Imagine you have lots of gold, valuables, and you put it into a safe. That safe is all your life savings. That's it. Nothing else to add to it. And then to protect that, you set up the safe around it. You set up this security code around it. That security code, that safe that you set up around the goods, that's called Ilmul Kalam. That's basically Ilmul Kalam is not inventing anything. It's basically trying to rationally detail what the Quran has said or what the Hadith has said, to give it some like reasonable understanding, so that if we have to debate someone, we can rationally present our arguments. That's basically how it is. So the Ash'ari, the Maturidi Aqidah is not something which is contrary to the Aqidah of the Sahaba and the Tabi'in. Nothing. It's not. And that's it. So both Aqidas are fine. The early position is the position most people on earth, they follow the early position, right? But people who want to go into debating, discussing, detailing, right? That's when you require more nuanced approach. That's why Imam Ghazali has very nuanced approaches, and then people that came after him as well. That's what I would say. What I would suggest is you need to study them properly with someone. Study both. If you want to study proper Athari Aqidah, right, from people who are well-respected people in the Athari circles, study with them. and study Ash'ari Aqidah if you want, or Maturidi Aqidah. Then you can see for yourself what it's all about. That's the best thing to do. Do you have any books you would recommend for the basics? Yeah, so what I would suggest, Aqil, first of all, read translation of the Quran. Translation of the Quran is very important. Number two, read Sirah. There's a book called Muhammad by Martin Lings. Right, it's a very, very easy to follow book. Start with something like that, then you can start your journey. There's also a book called Road to Makkah. Road to Makkah by Muhammad Asad. Road to Makkah. This is a very good book as well. Right, Road to Makkah. This is a very good book to start off with, understanding how Islam is seen through the eyes of like a convert. Anwar Siddiqui, wa alaikum assalam, my brother, my bhai jahan. उम्मीद है आप खैरियत से होंगे. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, मैं ठीक ठाक हूँ मेरे प्यारे भाई. Actually, today went to Rock a Burger again today, and I had a lovely, nice meal. Galaxy, wa alaikum assalam. Is a woman considered hypocritical if she performs Hajj and Umrah and returns and does not wear abaya but wears long, loose clothing? No, she's not hypocritical at all. As long as she's wearing suitable clothing that does not show the curves of her body, just like a man, as long as he wears clothing that does not show the curves around between the navel and the knees, then there's not. Dark Mortar, wa alaikum assalam. Is it permissible to take antidepressants in order to reduce desire for someone who is unmarried and does not want to fall into haram? I don't know. I would say speak to your doctor about taking antidepressants, because I don't know the consequences it's going to have on your body. So speak to doctors about this, and inshallah, there might be scope for this. But if your doctors say it's okay, it's not going to have a harmful impact on your body, then possibly. Okay. My Insta family. Sheikh, what is your Aqidah? My Aqidah is the Aqidah of Sahaba. Yeah, honestly, this is my Aqidah. Whatever the Sahaba used to believe, I believe that. Is there a hadith which states the deeds there are hadith which state certain groups of people will not be accepted? I don't know. If you can give me the exact wordings, I can find, but I haven't come across such a hadith. Ustad, if a man's wife dies, can he still look at her picture if she isn't in a proper hijab? This is a tricky question. This is because the marriage is over now, she doesn't exist. I would say there is scope to look at it. Yeah, there is scope because that woman does not exist anymore. She's passed away. If she had been divorced, that'd be different. But there may be scope for that because she's passed away. I saw on your Twitter that you were reading Mukhtarat. I am reading it by myself at the moment. How would you take most benefit from the book? So much wisdom inside the book. Yes, definitely, Qasim. What I would suggest with Mukhtarat, I actually teach Mukhtarat to one of my students. What I would suggest the Mukhtarat is basically what you need to do is try to look for the like don't try to focus on all the sentences because that's just ramming your head with too much like information and you're not going to get anything out of it. Select 3 sentences from each page, 4 sentences, maximum 5, write them down with you and try to analyze the sentence. Look how beautiful he's saying this. Try to understand how they say things. That is the most important thing when you're reading adab. You want to know how they say things. Just like, for example, if you speak Urdu, right? Look at how in Urdu they say things. Yeah, आपका मिजाज कैसे है? Look at that, आपका मिजाज. Look at that word mizaj has been used. You want to try to see the beauty of the language, how the language it sort of like expresses itself in a way that is really sort of like it affects the way you see things. That's what I would say in adab. That's the main thing you want to do in adab. Then obviously you want to write as well. So maybe you want to get a pen and a paper and you want to write down some sort of like ta'birat, right, in your own way, copying, imitating what's in the book. Where have you got so far, Qasim? Is it permissible for married couples to celebrate Valentine's Day together? I mean, I wouldn't see a problem with it, but to create Valentine's Day and to make this specific, I would say it's best to avoid. It's best to kind of if it is done regularly on a monthly basis, and why specify this day for? So if it's done just like that, that's fine. But if it's done to honor the day, to show that the day has some special significance, because it's got no specific significance. 14th of February has got no significance at all. So it's best people should remember, if they're Muslim, people should remember that Muslim has value. There are certain things as a Muslim, you have to draw a line and say, look, I'm not going to do this. Right. So as a Muslim, there should be certain things that a person should take into consideration. Okay. Is there hadith which states that the deeds of a certain group of people Brother SM Zach, unfortunately, I do not know about this hadith. If you can maybe show me the hadith, I can look into it. But from the top of my head, I don't know no hadith of that nature. If one prays seated on a plane, one is to repeat it, right? I would say no. If one prays by one seat, one can still stand. So should. So in a plane, I don't know how many times you've been on a plane. I've been on a plane many times. Most cases they don't let you pray because there's not enough time to allow people to stand because there's for health and safety, and they have to bring through the trolley and people have to walk by to go to the toilet. So it's going to be too much distraction. So I would say just pray seated. That would be fine, unless there is a designated place on the plane. Then that would be fine. But seated is fine. Is eating prawn makruh? I eat it. So that means I'm makruh. When buying things secondhand online, one sometimes meets the seller in a public place and give them the money and they give the item of sale. But is it permissible to make a transaction on someone's property without asking for permission from the owner since it's a public place? I assume the owner would be the city or government. So I don't understand. So you basically want to buy the government property. Is that what you're saying? I don't understand your question. Is it two questions you're asking or one question you're asking? So if you're buying government property, you'd obviously have to ask the government to buy it off them. Sayyidi Nash, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Would I have to make sajda sahu if I accidentally went onto Allahumma salli ala Muhammad in the first tashahhud of prayer? If you say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, then many of the Hanafi say you should do sajda sahu. Yes. I think my dad gets bored often and I can't find many appropriate things on TV for him. What halal entertainment shows are there? I don't know. If anyone can help Pentry, inshallah, please put some suggestions in the comments. Dudu wa alaikum assalam. In the Telegram, you mentioned about a short Hayd course. What do you intend to teach in it? Will it be like the one in Uruk? Yeah, it's going to be similar to the one in Uruk, but it's just going to be, it's going to be live so people can ask questions and it's going to be interactive. Right, so it's going to be going through more examples, helping people to understand the concept. I think you mentioned in the past stream a free Quran class or tajweed. What was the name? So it's called Quranic Insights. So Quranic Insights. Check that out. Jazakallah explained. It seemed as though the brother was actually attributing it. I can breathe. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. So I checked out the video and he didn't say that. He did. I mean, if he did, he didn't mean that because that's what we obviously know Allah has attributed to himself, so we can't deny that. So we have to interpret it. Salam, I have really enjoyed the Quran teachings. I really wish you would do more advertising to extend your platform. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Ameen. May Allah bless all of our works. And inshallah, hopefully by the end of next month, I'm hoping to hit 100K, guys. So plaque, gonna get the plaque. It's gonna be in Ramadan, so I won't be able to cut a cake. But inshallah, jazakallah khair. It means a lot to me when you guys give me feedback about my videos. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I checked your Usul Hadith episode. It was great. Can you give me an overview of your Usul Fiqh course as I'm considering it? So Usul Fiqh course is 28 lessons. I go over the Hanafi Usul Fiqh. So in Hanafi Usul Fiqh, you basically have two parts to it. You have the linguistic part, how Hanafis use language to understand Hadith and Quran. Like, why is it that sometimes we won't take the literal meaning of a Hadith? Like, there's no Salat without Fatiha. Why don't we take the literal meaning and say, a person must read Fatiha, and if they don't, their salat is not valid, like the Shafi say. So we go into that kind of discussion. So I show you how the background of language works in the Hanafi school. And then the second half is to do with how the Hanafis understand Sunnah, how the Hanafis understand Ijma, and abrogation, and these kind of things. How much is one mud? One mud. No. Mud is about 700 milliliters. A mud is about 7, according to Hanafis. According to Shafis and Malikis, it's about 400, I think. Yeah, about 500 milliliters. Like 2 Coke cans, basically. I think it's Kullatain, not mud. Oh, Kullatain. Yeah, Kullatain, there's different opinions. In the Shafi madhab, because the Hanafis don't consider Kullatain, because they don't even know what Kullatain is really, because the hadith are so varying in exactly the wording. But if you kind of look it up in the Shafi mud, I think it works out to about 180 liters of water. Qasim, assalam. Forgot to say it before. I hope you are well. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, Qasim. I'm very well, thank you very much. I've eaten a bit too much today. Tomorrow, inshallah, I've got a bike ride, so I'll burn it all off. What are the positions from the scholars on the likes of Zamakhshari and Jahiz due to their aqidah? So, Jahiz and Zamakhshari belong to a sort of a understanding of aqidah, which is the Mu'tazila understanding. And Mu'tazila is not one group; they are like a spectrum of Mu'tazila, different types. Yeah, like for example, Jassas is Mu'tazila. Imam Karhi is said to be Mu'tazila. Imam Quduri even has Mu'tazila inclinations as well. A lot of the Hanafis that belong to Baghdad basically have some sort of a affiliation there. So Zamakhshari is accepted. However, when it comes to where he mentions things regarding aqidah issues, then the scholars will critique him. Yeah, they'll scrutinize his positions. Jahiz is not a scholar. He's simply a linguist. Yeah, he was a famous linguist in the early 200s. When registering on websites, they might ask you to check a box. I have read and agreed to the terms. Is lying. Yeah, so basically, they don't mean you have to read it all. That tick box simply means that you're okay with it. So this is like implicitly saying you've checked it. So in the law in any country, you don't have to read through all that. It's not like mandatory to read through. As long as you are willing to accept it, it's basically to do with if it goes to court, then certain clauses in the contract you can't hold them liable for it. That's what it is. So it's not lying. I know that in prayers like Maghrib, the Imam recites loudly and everyone else should listen. Are skin fades haram? No. What about in silent prayers? Do we recite silently? According to majority of the Hanafis, we do not recite. Yeah, we just stand there. Why is this good? Okay, right. Let's go down. Let's check this out. Okay, check question over here. Salam Ustaz. Ruling on reciting with the Imam when in Jama'at, some say you have to recite Fatiha along with him. According to Hanafis, you do not, because the Quran says clearly, إِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنِ, when the Quran is recited, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ, listen to it, وَأَنْصِتُوا, and be quiet. So the Hanafi say, look, the Quran says when the Quran is recited, you have to be quiet. And the scholars say this was revealed about Salat. Yeah, so the Hanafis take the Quran here. Sheikh, why can't Buddhism be the truth? Because I was talking to a Buddhist but don't know how to answer. I do not know about Buddhism. What I would suggest is go to Sapiens Institute, check out their website. I think they've got something on Buddhism. That'll be able to help you, inshallah. So I don't know much about Buddhism, so I wouldn't be able to. What you can do is as well, Sapiens Institute has something called the Lighthouse mentoring. So you can contact them free of charge. You can have a discussion over the phone with them and they can clear up anything, so like question that you have. It's called Sapiens Institute. In terms of Mukhtarat, I've read the first juz. For me, reading and understanding was okay. Not too many new words for myself, but the second juz is very deep with writings from regarding Sahaba. I see. Yeah, so what you might want to do is just step back. Just try to read works that are a bit more easier. Then you can get up to that level. What you don't want to do is you don't want to kind of like push yourself into a level that you find very hard and you don't enjoy reading it. So I would suggest trying to read some sort of like easy texts before you build up to that. Danielle, where do you draw the line between what is bid'ah and what is not bid'ah? So I've got a video on this. So Danielle, I've got a video. Let me just see. Okay, so I've got a video on this. Crash course about innovation. Yeah, crash course, innovation. Yeah, let me just give you this. Right. The problem I have with studying Aqidah is that no one teaches it to this level of detail without an Alimiya course, and I do not have time for that, unfortunately. What you can do is, if you actually go on, what is it called? Seekers Guidance. Seekers Guidance. They actually have free courses, very, very good level. Seekers Guidance. Or what you can do is Basira Education, I think it's called Basira Education. Sheikh Hamza Karamali, he actually goes through Aqidah books on YouTube. So go to Seekers Guidance. You can get free courses on Aqidah, on very advanced Aqidah, inshallah. Fading haircuts aren't haram. That's correct. I definitely understand what you mean about tabirat and looking at the text through the lenses of Nahu Sarf Balagha, hoping to study with a teacher when I get the chance. Definitely, I think that's going to be a good thing. But at the moment, just enjoy Arabic. You just enjoy it. Just try to read books that you just like it. Don't read a book like a textbook. Just skim through it, just like you read a newspaper. Read like that. Get used to reading like that, and that really helped me a lot. I may contact Asrar Shadia, but I think Sheikh Asrar and Sheikh Yasser, these guys are very busy guys. I know Sheikh Yasser is very busy. I don't know Sheikh Asrar personally, so you might find it difficult. But like I said, if you check out online, you can find the information there. You're welcome, my brother MK. How do you stay consistent in Salah? It's a hard thing, brother Akil. Honestly, it's a very hard thing. What I would suggest you try and do is you try and like rotate your whole day around Salat. Fix your day, your routine, even your friends meeting up around Salats. Start to do that in the beginning. Once you get a habit of something, you'll become good at it. There's actually a good book to read or you can listen to. It's called Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. And if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, there's actually a summarization of it. Type in, go in Google and write summary of the book Atomic Habits. And you can listen to it in about 5 or 10 minutes. Listen to that and you learn how to create habits inside yourself. Do you know someone who teaches Fard Ain online? I'm not sure, I'm not sure who teaches Fard Ain online. I think iSyllabus used to do something. Try to find out iSyllabus. Sheikh Radwan. So he does something. Does the rule of waiting 1 year for lost items to be claimed apply? Some say that a leave item where it is, but yeah. So you can take it and then you can put some announcements up regularly for 1 year, and then no one comes for it, then give it in charity. Assalamu alaikum. Ahla wa sahla, my brother Muhammad. كيف الحال؟ كيف الحال? So isn't there a hadith of the Prophet forbade qaza? Yeah. So let me explain about qaza. Qaza is basically a little boy came to the Prophet ﷺ with his father, and the little boy had this patchy haircut. Let me show you what a qaza is. Okay, you guys want to see what a qaza is? Yeah, I'll show you guys. Or I can't show you guys anyway. Well, I'll try to flip my camera over so I can show you guys. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me show you what qaza is. Okay. This is what qaza is. Let me show you guys. A lot of you guys ask. Okay, so if you guys look at this, that is what qaza is. That is basically what qaza is. It's just a random haircut. Random haircut. Let me try to flip this camera over. Okay, so that is what qaza is. Can you see? Let me just try to. That's what qaza is. That. So the Prophet saw a little boy and he had hair like that, like random cuts and just patches there. The Prophet just said to the father, just either cut it all off or keep it. Yeah, that's what qaza is. So does that make sense? So this is why now, so this is something which, this is something which, it's something which we have to understand what was meant by that. Yeah. So nowhere in the hadith does the Prophet ﷺ mention about certain types of haircuts are not allowed. There's only one hadith, and the scholars differ exactly what he meant by this. The Hanafis even allow shaving the top of the head and leaving the sides. The Hanafis allow this. The Hanafis say qaza basically means you shave the entire head and you leave a patch of 3 fingers of hair on the head. That's what qaza is. Yeah, that's the interpretation of qaza. You don't believe me? Ask any mufti to ask you to go to Radd al-Muhtar and say, can you check in there what qaza is referring to? They will tell you exactly the same thing. Wanting clarity, the Prophet ﷺ said, three deeds, three people won't be accepted. A person rude to his parents, a person who tells others show gratitude towards him, a person who tries to sell, say lying. Yeah, so that's yeah. That was the had the Prophet said. So there are these people out there who Allah will not accept their du'as. Right. Back to me. Okay, next. Amina, when we say that all prophets are ma'soom, what does that exactly mean and how does it? So this is a good question. When we say all the prophets are free of sin, what does that exactly mean? So this was a discussion that the scholars did have. Yeah, because the scholars debated this. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven all the prophets for all the mistakes. They have made mistakes, but Allah has forgiven them. But the problem is that a sin, an act of disobedience to Allah, would mean that that person cannot be trusted anymore. So when a person in Islam, if a person is a fasiq, a person who is an open disobedient person, then that person's can't be trusted. Like even if they can be trusted, there's still that element of because they've done a bad thing. In the back of your mind, you're always thinking this person. So because the prophets have to come down and send the message of Allah pure, without there being any shadow of doubt that this has come from Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah has protected them from committing sin. And Allah in the Quran says, Allah has forgiven for you your past and future, meaning you will not even commit them. So we know that the major sins they will not commit. What about minor sins? So this is where there's two camps of scholars on this. One camp of scholars says that the prophets will not commit any minor sins except for minor sins that are small that don't really have any impact. And the other group of scholars, the Maturidis, they say no, prophets will not even commit, even though it's possible for them to commit minor sins, but they have never committed minor sins. Yeah, because Allah forgive them. So it's all about the protection, and Imam Razi actually has a whole treatise on this. He's got a whole treatise on. Why is my internet keep turning off? Right. Okay. What's the ruling when, say, no one takes your shoes in the mosque? Say someone takes your shoes in the mosque and you take someone else's because they were similar. Now you can't find another person. What do you do? So obviously those shoes don't belong to you. So it's like taking anyone else's property. What do you do in that situation? You can't find the person. So they're amana with you. They're a trust and amana. You try to lead them back in the mosque. And if that person comes to you, then you have to give them it. Yeah, that's the thing. Is it I syllabus? Yes, I syllabus. Also, prawns aren't makruh. I've been avoiding them my whole life. Yeah, like some Hanafis would say they're makruh, but many Hanafis say eat them, like me. Wa alaikum assalam. Eskhans, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, welcome. Masir Ali, wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah, my American brother. Kya hal hai? Is it okay to pick out the red and M&Ms and eat the rest? I wouldn't see a problem. Or you can give it to a Maliki. Malikis, according to them, the carmine dye inside of them is permissible. Should one attempt to pray standing on a plane like in the bathroom? No, no, don't, because the bathroom is actually makruh to pray in a dirty toilet, and plain toilets are dirty. Trust me, yeah, they are dirty. So don't pray sitting. It's fine. You can pray sitting. There's no sin at all. So how come many madrasas don't allow short back and sides? That's what I'm saying. Why do short madrasas? Because it's a culture. You know, when I was in Pakistani madrasa, I never ever heard of this idea of short back and sides being makruh. Like I studied in one of the biggest madrasas in Pakistan. I never in my 9 years heard them say that short back and sides is makruh. It was only when I came to England that I heard this. So the England Hanafis are like next level. How's life, my brother? Life is very nice. My Russian accent. Do you know any good teachers classes for Shamail Muhammadiyah? I think, Mufti Abdullah Nana, Mufti Abdullah Nana from the US, I think he's just going to start a Shama'il Muhammadiyah course. I just saw it today on his Twitter. So contact him. He'll be the best person to find out. So there's a part of B of my question as well. Part B, okay. So when we say that all prophets are ma'soom, what does that exactly mean, and how does it differ from angels being ma'soom? So angels can't sin. Like angels have not been designed to have desire. So it's like angels are like a computer program. They can't go against what they're programmed to do. That's what it means. What if you don't know who they were? Yeah. So if you don't know who they were, just give it back to the mosque, leave it there, and hopefully they'll come back to pick them up. What about facing the Qibla? Yeah. So facing the Qibla, if you have to sit down and pray in that situation, the facing the Qibla drops from you. Mufti said you need to pray standing and exhaust all avenues to try and pray standing before you sit. Yeah, if you want to follow his position, that's fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, totally fine. According to Maliki's, dogs are haram with ikhtilaf and predators are makruh. As they said, food prohibition is restriction to the Quran. Predators are makruh, as they said, food prohibition. I see. What do you think of Ibrahim College in London? I have been there, visited, mashallah, Sheikh Shams al-Duha and Muna Mujahid and the rest of the crew, mashallah. Very good team. I went there in 2017, I think, 2016 to visit. I think after that they had some problems. Ahmad Aro, alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, my brother. Is this accurate? The Prophet said 3 times. Yes, that's accurate, my brother. You're welcome, Masir Ali. What is the least amount of hair that needs to be cut for Umrah? The least amount is a quarter of your head, the amount of hair that you can wrap around your finger. Yeah, or shave off. So you shave a quarter of your head, basically. Do a qaza. Is it okay if there is a cross-contamination with food that is permissible for different madhabs? I would say there'd be room for that. There'd be permissibility. Yeah. Right. Oh, I haven't checked out Curious Cat, have I? Let me check out Curious Cat, guys. Curious Cat. All right, let's see what Curious Cat is saying. Cat. Right. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. If you know that a person has backbited someone else, is it better to tell the other person what he said? No, do not tell them. Assalam, no, don't tell. Right. Is Mukhtarat actually the writing of Sheikh Abul Hassan Nadawi, or is it selected? Selected. Mukhtarat means selected. Yeah, so it means selected. Sheikh Abul Hassan Nadawi has a website called Abul Hassan Nadawi. That's what it's called. And on there, they've got books from many scholars from Nadwa. And check his out. You can see his writings. His writings are very, very good. Assalamu alaikum. What is your opinion on the following books? Al-Asida Ash-Samawiyya. This is a very good book. I'm actually going through at the moment. Very nice. Al-Inaya fi Tahqiq al-Hadith al-Gharib. I have not checked out Al-Inaya. Salam. The first I'm reading at the moment. The second, I haven't got hold of a copy yet. Yeah, but I heard it's quite good. Yeah, mashallah. Mufti Shabir son is very mashallah capable scholar, very good at writing and researching. Alhamdulillah. So is it sinful to forfeit? So it's sinful to forfeit alive. I need to explain this to my mother as she doesn't understand. I was trying to. It's not sinful to forfeit. So basically, the person asking a question, if someone wants to forfeit the inheritance that they're going to receive in the future, can they do it from now? No, they have to forfeit it after death. During Hajj and arriving in Muzdalifah, do we pray the sunnahs of Maghrib? No. Please can you explain in the order of the Fard and Sunnah prayers of joining Maghrib? No. Just pray Maghrib, Fard, and Isha, Fard, then Witr. And Sunnah of Isha, then Witr. How do you become true and loyal to people? E.g., I heard someone say something meaning about another person is truth and loyal speaking up for. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to ask me this question. Loyalty is simply being truthful to your relationship to another person. That's what loyalty is. Yeah, so as long as you're truthful, like for example, your parents, you're a child of your parents, so you're loyal to them in the sense that if they need anything, if a time comes, you don't desert them, you don't let them down. Yeah, so I would say just Google it, type in what does it loyalty mean? Whatever answer they give, that's right. What does it mean to accept the invitation of a Muslim? E.g., my friend invites me to their wedding, which is very far away. Must I accept it? If it's far, that's a sufficient reason to not attend. If a Muslim sneezes, should we say Yarhamukallah even if we don't know them? As long as one person says it, the rest don't. Does the deceased get punishment in the grave if his family members build over his grave? No. Okay, I have sent a Akida-related question, which is a pretty big question. Okay, I think that was EB. What if there is... Khalas. Curious cat done. How many total babs are there in Sarf? I don't know. I don't know from the top of my head. Right. So... Okay, do you know any of any links to study something intensively, want to sit under someone proper and just learn a book? Yeah, so check out White Thread Press. Yeah, White Thread Institute. Check out yeah, they do an intensive course. Online, isn't it? Sufa Institute does one, but at the moment they don't have intakes. Intakes are going to be, I think, end of the year or something, December time. Can one make a transaction on someone's property without asking the owner for permission? Can one make a transaction on someone's property without asking for the owner for permission? I don't understand. Explain, Pentry. What do you think of mahwak? Are you mohawk? Like a mullet haircut, with like a mohawk. Because this is not considered to be the hair of people, the average people. This should be a hair that Muslims should try to avoid. Yeah, because it doesn't seem appropriate in where I'm living, right? Like it wouldn't be considered a professional haircut. People at workplace wouldn't think good of it. Yeah, so this is why, it's a sort of like can almost say an extreme style of haircut. Yeah, so I would say it's best to avoid that haircut. What steps are you taking for memorizing the Quran? I haven't started yet. No, I haven't started. Oh yeah, that reminds me. You recommend Akram Nadawi's Alamiya course? I do not know the level of the Alamiya course. So I wouldn't be able to. So I wouldn't be able to recommend that. What's up? I can only recommend something that I know very well. Right. So unfortunately, Dr. Akram Nadawi's course, I don't think he teaches. He just teaches maybe a few books in higher level. Other people teach the lower. So I wouldn't be. I know some people who have studied there, but I'm not really kind of satisfied with the level of their understanding. What's up? Is it possible for us to compare sins and tell which one's worse? No, we don't do that. Is it too late to study the Deen at age 25? Of course not. Sahaba started studying when they were 30s and 40s, many of them. Salam, Sheikh. Off the topic. Any advice on growing out your hair? Yes, just let it grow. Let it go. Yeah, let it go. That's it. Let it go. If a non-Muslim says, "Wa alaikum assalam," honestly, just let your hair grow. Yeah, let it go very, very long. Then, like, maintain it slowly, and then let it go at the right level. If a non-Muslim says salam, should you reply if you clearly heard them say salam, not anything else? You are allowed to reply. Yeah, you're allowed to reply. But just saying wa alaikum would be sufficient. The Chinese sage Confucius, once asked by a prince, "How do I hire a truthful governor?" He said, "Be truthful yourself." Allah, wah wah, kya baat hai. If a person owes money to a large organization, but this may well have been written off as the organization has made no contact in over 2 years, arrears, is the onus on the debtor to clarify this? No, so that would be so if they ever do contact you, it means it hasn't been written off. So unless they have explicitly said that it has been written off, you assume you still owe them. So therefore, they can ask for it anytime. Galaxy, what is your morning and evening wird dhikr Quran routine? So in the mornings after Fajr, I will do 3 quls, qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, and then blow on myself. I will read Surah Yasin in the mornings, and that's pretty much for my morning wird. That's it. And then in the morning, I'll try to pray some Salat al-Duha if I can, and then I'll go to work. And in the evenings, it'll be pretty much similar. Yeah, I'll have a similar sort of routine. Sheikh Jum'a of Syria, one of the leading Hanafi scholars of the country, started studying the Deen at 34. Allahu Akbar. What advice would you give for a person wishing to memorize Juz Amma by listening to recitation, but they fear hearing the verse of Sajda and that they'll forget to do the Sajda? So, many of the scholars say there is no Sajda of Tilawa if you hear it through a recording. But it doesn't matter. I mean, all you have to do is just later on just make up Sajdas. Right? So, you don't have to make them up straight away. Who do you find to be more consistent at self-study, men or women? I think women. I think generally women, the female students that they are generally more studious, and they can do more. I mean, in that sense, there's a few guys, mashallah, who are exceptions, but generally guys are a bit lazy. Right? The guys need the stick on their head. Yeah, not in the physical, but they need to be kind of repeated, told time and time and time again. What do you guys think? Do you guys think ladies are generally more consistent in self-studying, or men? It's mad how they stick shar aqaid and lessons just like that. Arham, Sheikh, what is the ruling on the beard? Shaving is haram to my knowledge. How about trimming? There's ikhtilaf in this. Yeah, so there's a difference of opinion of scholars about this. Did you touch your ears with opposite hand saying astaghfirullah when younger? I actually wasn't brought up with that. I only saw it in school that some people did that. So I think Pathans don't do that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Any other Pathans agree with me? So in Pathan culture, we don't have that kind of thing where you hold your ears. That was actually something I saw when I was in school, and I saw a lot of children who are from Mirpuri background. They used to do a lot of that. Yeah, because in my area there was a lot of them. So they used to do that. But I mean, I never saw it in my own culture. Did you do it? AKA Nasir is translated as for you. Is a root word being sneaked in some place? A root word? I don't understand. It's trying to for you. Is a root word? A root word? I'm sorry, I haven't got that. I don't understand. Are you saying is there like a hidden word there? For your answer, could you please kindly explain that more? Because culturally we do it a lot. It's because we leave judgment to Allah. Yeah, so it's just, I think humans like to measure things. Like when you guys ask me, what is your favorite this? What is your favorite this? So humans like to kind of ask these kind of things. Unless Allah and the Prophet ﷺ have told us that this sin is worse than this sin, we don't have the right to say which sin is worse than which. Yeah. Clearly, if a sin has a particular punishment, severe punishment attached to it, and another one doesn't, then clearly the one with the punishment seems to be more worse. Yeah. So I mean, that's all I can say, I think. Galaxy. فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد. I recited يعذبه instead of يعذب. Is my salah valid? Yes, it's valid. Did you once encounter a Japanese jinn? Japanese jinn? No, I encountered a Japanese lady who was affected by sihr. Yeah. So not Japanese. I knew you were gonna say Mirpuri. If a person prays in the wrong direction by pure accident and mistake and asks for forgiveness, is it accepted or must the salat? If a person prays in the wrong direction by pure accident and mistake, asks for forgiveness. So if they did not know where the Qibla was and they thought the Qibla was in that direction, then it's fine. We don't do that. I saw my friends do it, so I thought it was legit. To be fair, I see loads of Deobandi fiqh and they're proper strict. Okay, Mir Puris. Mufti Saab, today in my 4th rakat sunnah for Dhuhr, I read Surah Nas, first my mistake, and then had to go back and read 3 other earlier surahs to complete my sunnah. Is the 4 rakat sunnah accepted? Today in my 4 rakat sunnah for Dhuhr, I read Surah Nas. Yes, it's fine. So basically the order of sequence of surahs in Salat is only for Fard, Hanafi say. It's not for the other Nawafil and Sunnahs. In the Nawafil and Sunnahs, you can read in any order you want. I'm sure it was everything along with Quranic Qasmi. Yeah, we in a Pashto culture, we don't have Quranic Qasmi. We just say Qasam de. Qasam Khrama, we say. Yeah, so we have like that. Once you get to the actual books like Badai Sanai and Rad al-Muhtar, you see the opinions in the madhab are very, very varied. Ya Allah. If you read the Tashahhud in Sajda by accident, hypothetically, do you have to? No. You would have to, because Sajda you can spend as long as you want. Basically, the ta'khir is where it's in a particular place where it's going to delay a. So in Sajda, because you're allowed to prolong, that's totally fine. Like in standing, you're allowed to prolong recitation as much as you like. But if you were to recite the Tashahhud between Fatiha and Surah, because you deliberately delayed between the Fatiha and Surah, you'd have to do Sajda. If siblings do not speak amongst themselves and parents are not doing anything to help them mend, do parents have the element of responsibility, or are the adult children solely? So adults, yeah. It's the adult's responsibility. So once you're an adult, no one else has a burden over you, or you don't have a burden on anyone else. I almost every day get confused on if I laugh in prayer or not. In general, I ignore it as waswasa, or sometimes I get funny thoughts. What do I do? Ignore it. So if you feel as though it's happening a lot, just ignore it. Whilst praying salah, what is the ruling on the clothing if there is a small hole on the garment on the areas which must be covered? Does that, so can a person, so how big is the hole? If the hole is the size of a quarter of the clothing, then that would negate the salat, nullify the salat. If it's a small little hole, then it'll be ignored, especially if someone can't see clearly what's underneath it. Salam, is there any book which contains all Arabic idioms and proverbs? There isn't a book which contains all Arabic idioms, but there is a book which contains lots of Arabic idioms. What I'll try to do, if I remember, on my Telegram, I'll put one up. It's a very nice one someone's written with English translation of many Arabic idioms. So there's not all, because the Arabic language, there are so much left in the Arabic language that needs to be discovered by students. Instead of qasme, some would say, without mentioning any names, tasme, really quickly to trick the other. That's a proper Bani Israel one day. That's a proper Bani Israel one day. Can you pray with a t-shirt which has closed eyelid drawn on it? Yes, you can. I heard you're well versed in the Deobandi and Brahmi conflict. I find myself in the middle. So I was the best book, if you know Urdu, the best book I would say on this is an 8-volume book that's been written, 8 volume, by Dr. Khalid Mahmood. Dr. Khalid Mahmoud. Passed away a couple of years back. So check his work out. Yeah, it's 8 volume. It's called Mutala'at al-Barelwiyat. Mutala'at al-Barelwiyat. I think it's probably the most balanced way of looking at it. Is it allowed to work as a security guard and the company sends one guard to a nightclub or other haram locations? Would it make any difference? Yeah, so I would say it would be permissible so long as the job is not solely for that particular location. So if it's a company which sends people out and they have no say in where they go, then I would say there's permissibility. Because they are simply just standing outside and just making sure that people don't cause any nuisance. But I can't understand where they got the Aqidah. I think you conveyed that one can tick an agreement box without having read it, but what if one agrees to something haram without knowing? Like what, for example? I'll give you an example. Drawing a whole person is not allowed, but what about creating an avatar in games or yeah, I would say because it's a fictitious image, there'll be scope for that. Okay. If a person doubts they missed a fard in wudu, but they prayed their salah still, does it happen regularly? Our socks, does it happen regularly? A friend of mine has been addicted to pornography since a very young age. He's not married. He's trying to get out of it, but is finding it possible. What can be done? Yes, there is actually. I remember we had a podcast where we had a brother from organization called Guarding Your Gaze. I think it's called Guarding Your Gaze. That is an organization which actually mentors people to get off addiction. Yeah, so check it out. I think it's called Guarding Your Gaze. Guarding Your Gaze or Purifying Your Gaze. Pornography. Purify. Yeah, Purify Your Gaze. Check it out. It's called Purify Your Gaze. And this is basically designed for helping people to get out of this. Yeah, so for some people it's very bad. Yeah, so help on porn addiction. Right. What if someone says a surah in Fard Salat and does not know what surah comes afterwards, so they recite the surah? Yeah, then it's fine. Because if you don't know, then Allah is not going to hold you responsible. Are you allowed to ask unknown men to pray for you via message or face to face? Unknown men to pray for you? I don't understand. Like you're asking random people to make dua for you. What's the ruling on printing photos or asking or photo books? Yeah, I think this one's a tricky one. This is one of those kind of tricky, blurry gray areas. Many scholars allow it, many scholars don't allow it. I mean, I am inclined towards there being some sort of validity for the permissibility of it, but I don't do it myself. Yeah, there is some validity. How can one agree to an agreement without knowing what's in it if we are supposed to? That's why I asked you the question, Pentry. What you have like you can come out with something very theoretical, but sometimes something is theoretical but doesn't really exist in the real world. So you have to give me an example of agreeing to something haram without knowing that's haram. What if someone fears how to mend ways with a sibling who is very close or very different to them? So I don't understand. What's the question? What's the question, Galaxy? It was my tazkiyah. It's called my tazkiyah. My tazkiyah. Okay. Purify your gaze is a different one. So my tazkiyah. Check out my tazkiyah. Let's check out my tazkiyah, guys. My tazkiyah. Pornography. My tazkiyah. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah, I do apologize. Yeah, so you check this one as well. My tazkiyah. You can share it with people who have the problem. Okay, Nafis. Assalamu alaikum. If I can't do Alimiyah, how can I study fiqh online? Is it possible to do Al Hidayah online in English? Do you know? I don't know, unfortunately. Yeah, there might be people out there who do teach it, but I don't know anyone who does that. What about the clause in agreements on disputes? It may say something like, if a dispute were to arise it is to be resolved in Irish court exclusively with Irish laws. This is judging. Yes, that's fine. That's permissible. So this is not judging by other, because Allah has allowed this to happen. The Prophet ﷺ has allowed arbitration. It's called arbitration. Yeah, so arbitration is allowed. Asking random people to pray for you, are you allowed? Yes. Someone asked me to find out if it's permissible to perform janazah on animals. There's no such thing as janazah on animals. Yeah, it's like playing janazah on a piece of rock. Have you got a video on how to perform sajda sahu anywhere and the different reason when it will require? Yes, I do. Yeah, in fact, I do. If you check my Kuduri, prostration, forgetfulness. So, where is it? Prostration. Yeah, prostration of mistakes. Yeah, this is the one. Sajda sahu. Ya Allah. If one cannot stand in prayer, they have to pray sitting down on the floor with ruku and sajda, and they can. But what if a person has a problem standing up again from this sitting? Yeah, then they can pray sitting down. Yeah. Is wearing sandals that have an ankle strap during ihram makruh? As long as for men, as long as the lace bone, the majority of it is exposed, then it's okay. Another question: are skin fades makruh? They're allowed. Yeah, they're permissible. Is it potentially judging by other than what Allah? So yeah, so judging by what other than Allah has really means where you leave Allah's law and you swap Allah's law with another law. Yeah, that's what is considered to be like what the Christians done. They left Allah's law and they switched it with something else, or what the mushriks done. Sheikh, tell us a story from your life that taught you something. Allah, wah wah wah, kya baat hai. My brother has a question: who is more powerful, a man or a woman? So it all depends upon who wears the trousers. So if the man wears the trousers, he's probably going to be more powerful, or the woman, then the woman's more powerful. Okay, all right. A story from something that taught you a lesson. Let me think, my brother. Let me think. Okay. Let me think. Okay, let me tell you one. Always have trust in Allah. Yeah, always have trust in Allah. So what happened once to me was when I went to Pakistan the first time to study, when I was 18 years old, straight after college. I went there. I enrolled into a madrasa. I went from the madrasa. It was a holiday, right? I think it was like a Friday or something, and I wanted to go and visit my relatives. I got relatives in Karachi, but they live on the other side of Karachi from the madrasa, so it's quite far. I had to catch 2 buses to get there. So what happened was I thought to myself, you know what? I'll surprise them, right? Which was probably going to be a bad idea. So I got on the bus and I was going on the way. And all of a sudden, the road is blocked. So in Pakistan, what happens is if the road is blocked, they will try to find another route, right? So they didn't tell you, but they tried to find another route. You don't realize. And they were going through some strange roads, and the bus was packed out, and it was hot as well. And then, like, another road was blocked, and another road was blocked, and they kept making detours. And it was like Ramadan as well, by the way. I was fasting, and it was almost Maghrib time. So a bus full of people who are fasting, and then you're traveling, and it's hot, and there's lots of smoke everywhere, traffic. And eventually, we came to a place where it just standstill traffic. Maghrib started, and I was just thinking, Ya Allah. And then what happened was, in the bus, there was like I used to wear a white turban, white imama. So in the bus, there was a guy who looked at me, and he made like a sneer comment about Deobandis, right? And unfortunately, some people do. And so I was like alone in that bus, Like I knew no one else on the bus. And you hear sometimes stories of people getting kidnapped or like people getting drugged or something. And I thought, I don't know what's gonna happen to me. Anyway, what happened? Azan goes off. And then, mashallah, like everyone on the bus is fasting. So someone from outside comes with a big bag of dates and just like shares dates with everyone. So alhamdulillah, we all break our fast. And the guy who actually turned out, who's like making comments, he seemed like a good guy. Maybe he was a bit grumpy because of fasting. And then anyway, alhamdulillah, everything went well. So then I couldn't pray because if I got off the bus, I'm literally gonna miss the bus and I don't know how to get back. And I didn't know Urdu that well as well. That's the other thing. Yeah, because I was first new in Pakistan. So I got on the. So then I said, okay, I'm gonna carry on wherever this bus goes. Eventually, the bus went. It was traveling for 2 hours now. We got to a point where the bus driver said to everyone, right, everyone get off now. Because sometimes over there, the buses, they basically, if they don't see there being any benefit in carrying on the journey, they'll stop, tell everyone to get off and then go back and, you know, go back to the original place and get more passengers. So in the middle of nowhere, now I know where that was, that where they left me off. But originally I didn't know where it was. Middle of nowhere, that's it, get off in Karachi. And then I said, how am I going to get home? I don't even know like the address of my relatives. I just know how to get there. Like I've been on a bus, I know how to get there, but I don't know the name. So I'm good at directions. In that if I've seen a place once or maybe even twice, I can probably get there, but I don't know the names of this. Then eventually I go to the driver, look, you know what? I don't know where I am. And he goes, okay, come on. You sit in the bus and we'll take you back from where he picked you up and you get off there again. So again, I go, okay. So we went back, drove. And I didn't see because I knew the location going this way, but coming back, I couldn't identify it. Like it looked different. So I missed it. And then we were going. And the guy goes to me, oh, you're still here? I thought you got off. Your stop was over there. And then he wouldn't turn back. And oh, damn, got off the bus. And then I got a rickshaw and I just told the rickshaw to take me to the madrasa. And I knew the name of the madrasa. And then he goes, he didn't even know where the madrasa was, but then I just told him like some signs. And then he goes, okay. Got back after about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Hadn't eaten nothing because I just had those dates and I hadn't prayed my Maghrib as well. So then I went in the madrasa, I prayed and I went outside. I got myself some food and then I just rested again. That was a long, and then I realized from there that, you know what, in life, that's basically, for many of us, that's what life is. If you don't know what's going to happen in the future, if you don't have the skills of life, you will always get into these situations. If I knew, for example, how to get myself out of that situation, if I knew how to speak, if I knew directions, or I wouldn't be in that situation. But that's just something that happens. You in life, you are gonna stumble, and a lot of you guys, I can see you guys stumble on questions. You don't know things in Islam. You have to ask people, and it's kind of sometimes frustrating when you want to understand something in Islam, but you gotta wait for it. Ask someone who knows, and you don't know how to get in contact with them. So that's one of my like life lessons. I'm never gonna forget that. And actually, the reason why the roads were blocked was because it was a Shia march. So Shias in Pakistan, sometimes they have their like special days, and they will just close the roads, right? Just like randomly close. There's no kind of pre-warning or anything, and close the roads. And that was the first time I heard. And there was like at that time there was some explosions in mosques, in some Shia mosques. So it was like a kind of difficult time. You don't wanna be in the wrong place. Yeah, so that's that, guys. Okay, what's your Instagram? So the Instagram is called Roots of Knowledge. So go on Instagram, check out Roots of Knowledge. You'll find it there. With this Ayat Tafsir any good? I haven't checked it out. I wouldn't be able to say. Book recommendations, Quran. What kind of books are you looking for? Explain why Hanafi read Usul Hadith written by Shafi scholars. Some people say the Bab of Sunnah in Usul Fiqh Hanafi books are Hanafi Usul Hadith, but they don't discuss Fard Mutlaq, Fard Nasabi. Yeah. So basically, the reason why Hanafi study the Usul of the Shafi, or Usul Muhaddithin, you can say, rather, it's a better term, Usul of the Muhaddithin, is because when we study Usul, we need to understand how they see Usul, how they see Hadith. Yeah, it's like, for example, like studying mathematics, not because you're going to become a mathematician, because you need to understand it for other things. So if you read a book and there's a mathematical sort of like discussion taking place, you know how to resolve it, even though your job is not a mathematician. That's the same thing. Hanafis will study Shafi usul, Shafi hadith, or Muhaddithin hadith for that purpose. Right? It's not because Hanafis technically do not need usul hadith to understand, but Shafis, because their madhab is based upon how authenticating hadith is the basis for deriving rulings. Right. Okay. A female enjoys attending Taraweeh and Jummah in nearby masjid due to wishing to be near Muslims, but the masjid often advocates Salafi methodology, and more community members are moving towards this, and they respect the scholars but not blind following and ascribing to madhabs. When they hear these things, it makes them upset and lowers their iman. Should they continue to attend the masjid if it makes them feel like this? If going to these kind of places makes you feel bad, then don't go. Simple as that. Don't go, because it's better for you not to have these kind of bad feelings about people. If a slipper has your name letter on, can you wear them either in English or Arabic? Yes. It's obviously not a good thing to do, but our administrative fees and setup fees riba depends exactly on the contract. So you'd have to mention exactly what normally they're not riba. So if a court rules something contrary to Islamic law, is that leaving the law of Allah and replacing it for something else? It all depends, like exactly what. So for example, like if you're living in a country that has this law, you don't accept that law, so you have to abide by it, but you don't accept it. So that's not you going against the Quran. That's them, the lawmakers. If someone offered to sell their phone to me in exchange for donating money to charity, and I agreed, but later decided I didn't want the phone and declined, is this okay? If someone offered to sell their phone to me in exchange for donating money to charity. So did you accept the offer to buy it? Exactly what happened? Got to be a bit more specific here. Ibn Adam alaykum assalam. Ibi, what did the guy say about the? I couldn't understand him fully because I didn't know Urdu properly, but I just heard him say something like, this is the Deobandis' fault. I can remember saying that. Also, I noticed Mutalab Relviyat is written by Deobandis. Can you expand on what the book is on? The book is on basically the whole history of before the ulama of Deoband came about. What was there in India? Like, how was Islam seen in India before? Like 100 years before, 200 years before? What was happening? What were there firqas there? Were there groups there? Were there like these kind of like factions that you have? And then what caused this Madrasa Deoband to come into fruition? And why did Maulana Ahmad Raza Khan object to them? What was the reason for this? And what is Barelviyat? Is it like everyone who's against Deobandi, are they Barelvi, or is it just one guy and one group? So it's basically about that. It's very, very long. You have to basically read a lot of it to understand. Can you make Q&A during the week as well? Do you know anyone else who can ask questions to? Unfortunately, I do not have much time. Yeah, so that's the issue. I only do it on Fridays and Saturdays because I'm quite busy in the week with work and all that. Is there a way I can attach a job description for you to see if a job is permissible? Yes, email it to me. Email it to me, inshallah. And the email is the bottom there. You can see coming up right now. There. And beautiful. Confucius. Liaquat Confucius. Liaquat Confuciusy. What madrasa did you study at Darul Karachi? No, I studied in Banuri Town. What is the ikhtilaf on the beard? What is your opinion on this? Would one be sinful for trimming? Ikhtilaf basically is that we have to keep facial hair, but how long does it have to be? How categorical is it that it has to be one fist? That's where the scholars differ. Some of the scholars say that it's categorical that you have to. Some scholars, no, it's not categorical. There is nothing categorical to say how long it has to be. That's the main issue. And both positions have validity in this. I remember around 2006 or 8 time when you was fresh and new to Sufa, you were very quiet and you didn't have the mustache and very much different. No, I wasn't there in 2006. I actually came in 2009, 2010. In 2008, I was actually in Pakistan studying. So you're probably talking about 2009. That's when I joined. Can you put timestamps on your Q? And by the way, who are you? Aloh. Oh, you're Aloh. Aloh, my friend. Aloh. Saddam Hussein. Aloh. Can you put timestamps on your questionnaires? I would like to, but there's so many. I honestly have no time to go through all my videos. Some people ask me, can you put the subtitles on in Arabic on my Arabic podcasts? And I can't, honestly, I can't. It's just too much time it takes to have to go through 2 hours again. So this is because it's like 1.5 hours. I honestly do not have time. I once, mashallah, a wonderful, beautiful person used to go through all my question answers and put timestamps on for me, but unfortunately they couldn't continue. But if someone can do it, if someone has the time to go through these and make it a sadaqah jariyah and look at the timestamps and just put them on in the comments box, and I can just simply just put it into the description so people can do that. He who learns must suffer. I mean, my schedule is very tight, like literally very tight. Like I can even tell you how many minutes I have in the day to myself. That's how tight my schedule is. He who learns must suffer. He who learns must suffer. Look at that, bro. I can't even say a guy who says this. Ashikhalis or Muhammad Azim. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think المدخل لأصول الحديث على منهج الحنفي is good for the person asking the question. Yeah, it's good, but it's not really kind of like there's a lot of people who are critical of those kind of works. Yeah, so but it's good. Yeah, definitely that is good. There's also like reading what else is there? There's actually a good like Qawaid fi Ulum al-Hadith, yeah, which is the first volume of I'la Sunan. That's also very good as well. There's also Sunan Ibn Majah, yeah, by Sheikh Abdul Rashid Nomani. That's also very good as well. Those are definitely very good, very very useful. There's Al Ajubat Al Fadila. That's very good as well. But yeah, definitely Muhammad Azim. I would definitely agree with you. What is the correct Aqidah? The one that the Sahaba were on. That's the correct Aqidah. They offered me their phone in exchange for this. I have to donate a certain amount to charity. I agreed and they gave it. I later decided I no longer wanted, then you've made a deal. Yeah, you've made an agreement, so you have to fulfill it. Is this okay or is it sinful? Yeah, so it's okay because they've agreed. You now have agreed to that. So therefore, you actually come into a binding contract. I once prayed in a Shia mosque on my own, and it turns out the mosque bought a wedding venue which they hire out. They use the funds for the mosque. Is it a good idea for mosques to have business? I mean, as long as they don't have like crazy things going on inside the masjid hall itself, it's okay. Do you know anyone else who does Q&A? I don't know, unfortunately. Anyone else know anyone who does Q&A? You can put in the comments below. I need to go and study whether it's in the UK abroad. I know others who went to Jamia Benodia. Yeah, Jamia Benodia is a different one. Jamia Benodia is a different madrasa. Benodia is a totally different madrasa. Two different madrasas. Names are very similar. Is an 18-year-old boy who has sparse facial hair allowed to shave it regularly? No. Tawrazir is very. If you intended, I mean, I haven't read it, all of it. I've read sections of it. Some of it's very good, mashallah. So Mullah Ahmad Raza Khan was very good in in fiqh. Yeah, I must say. I mean, I don't agree with some of the things that he says in his fiqh works, but he did have an understanding of Hanafi fiqh without a doubt. If you intend some money for charity, but you putting those money in a pot to become more and give then all together later, listen for this, or you have to give one. No, that's fine. So according to the one opinion, a man has to keep facial hair that can be called beard, right? If one has very little facial hair that cannot be called a beard, would he be allowed to shave? No. So any facial hair you have on your skin is called a lihya. So you don't touch it. So the facial hair is basically around the jaws. That's what it is. Okay, Salim Azhari. Someone saying Salim Azhari. I don't know who Salim Azhari is. Does Q&A. What do you for a managing natural anger? Is your family member saying things and triggering? So look, let me tell you about anger. Look, things that trigger anger. Food triggers anger. Your diet. Your diet is very, very important. Make sure you don't eat those things that will make that raise your blood pressure, make you angry quick. Yeah, calming thing, cool things, eat cool things, yogurt and cucumbers. These kind of things cool you down. Number two is a person gets anger when they get very frustrated because of other things in their life, right? For example, like sometimes a person can get very angry because sexual tension. A person has a lot of sexual tension that can make them very frustrated, grumpy. That's another thing that person can have. Another thing is a person posture as well. Yes. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if you and you're standing, sit down. Changing your posture. These are things that can help. Doing regular exercise can help you as well. Just sitting down and just contemplating about life, cooling, taking breathing lessons, like meditation, yeah, breathing lessons, that can really help you as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of things. Try to find out, Google it, try to find out how to help control anger management, and you'll find lots of resources online for it. I mean, I sometimes, unfortunately, I have outbursts of anger sometimes on certain things. It's just one of those things you got to keep maintaining. You got to know what triggers you. How do you remove evil eye? So the removal of evil eye, there isn't like anything specific to remove the evil eye. Um, there are things that have been prescribed, like the person who has caused the evil eye, you make them wash their limbs, and then you take that water and sprinkle it on the individual. That's one thing that's been prescribed in hadith. And also preventative measures like reading the adhkar morning and evening. Those are kind of useful as well. Okay, all right. So, Fazan, with the earthquakes recently, say if somebody is praying salah and the earthquake happens, then should the person run? Yes. If earthquake happens and you run, yeah, you're allowed to break your salah. It's a totally valid reason to break your salah. Yeah, save your life. Your life is very important in Islam. Your life is very important. That's why a lot of rulings in fiqh is to save your life. Saving your life is given priority over many other things. Assalamu alaikum Zob. Wa alaikum salam. What is the origin of the word namaz? It's a Persian word. Namaz is a Persian word that simply means to make like a dua or some sort. And is it rewarded sunnah to eat with the hands? There's no special reward attached to it. No, it wasn't the masjid they hired out. They bought a brand new building and hired it out. I thought it was a good idea. Yes, I've seen a lot of places do that. I personally think they need, for the future of Muslims in the UK, there's several things that need to be done. This is my own thoughts. Number one, there needs to be a pot for providing funds, like a waqf kind of thing, to providing funds for students to study for free, or at least give them like some sort of a bursary. So that's definitely. Number two, there needs to be a fund for self-sustaining masjids. We need to move away from the model of the public funding the masjid totally purely to funding the masjid with some other sort of income. Very, very important, because that's for autonomy. You need that for masjids. Number three, I think we need there to be a push for good wages for like imams, people in the community that are going to be active for the Muslim community. So there needs to be funds for that. So funds for paying for Muslim activists, Muslim organizations, think tanks, Muslim like a law team. Yeah. So these are the kind of things that funding is very, very important. Like I think when we read Sirah, one of the things that we don't look at is how important funding was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Monetary funding and like purposeful funding, like conscious funding in the right way, using it in the right places, not just randomly when an earthquake happens, we just spend all the money over there, or when something happens. That's good. We need to do that, but we need to have funding in the right places. Right? It's very, very important. As a Muslim community, I think we lack in that kind of we lack in that area. We don't really realize that we don't have like a far-reaching insight like Umar radiallahu anhu used to have. Umar had a very far-reaching insight. We need to have that far-reaching insight. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? If a group of people could share the job of doing video stamps, like take 15-20 minutes each, it could be done easily. I would be happy to help. Do the whole episode would be a mission. Yeah, I know. Jazakallah khair for your kind offer. Yeah, I mean, if people could do like some, and you can just put it in your comments. Yeah, maybe someone could just do like the first 20 minutes. Someone could say, no, I'll do the last 20 minutes or something. And then you just quickly just jot down. That'd be wonderful. Excellent idea. Let me just put that up if anyone wants to. A moment of patience in a moment of anger prevents 1,000 moments of regret. Kya baat hai. Is it permissible to curse someone only at extreme situations where one cannot have sabr no more? Is it permissible to curse someone only at extreme situations? I would say there is scope for that. Although a person should try to control themselves. Even the Prophet ﷺ cursed people. We have to remember that. He did curse people, when he was very, very annoyed at some people. Is it sunnah to sit on the floor when eating? As in, do you mean, is it rewarding? Is that what you're saying? To say the Prophet ﷺ sat on the floor, yes, of course he sat on the floor. But to say, is it a special reward in sitting on the floor than sitting on a platform? Then there's no special reward. So those limbs should be washed. The person who's been affected, as you don't know who did the evil act. Yeah, so if you don't know, then it's just a matter of maybe reading like some surahs. Manzil is a good thing to read and blowing on the person. What's your favorite qasida on the Prophet ﷺ? I like qasida burda. Banat Su'ad is very nice. And some of the qasaid of Hassan ibn Thabit are very, very nice as well. Yeah, these are some of the nice ones. Ruling on watching TV, going cinema. If it's a halal movie, it's halal. If it's a haram movie, then it's not allowed. As you've taught, teaching Hidayah and Quduri, are all chapters mentioned in each book, or are there some chapters that aren't mentioned in one of the books? Yeah, so Hidayah has all of Quduri in it, but Hidayah has many other things that Quduri doesn't have, because Hidayah is made up of Quduri and Jami al-Saghir. Yeah, so that's why the matan is called Bidayatul Mubtadi. So Hidayah definitely has more extensive discussions in there. Does the Sufa do a part-time Alimiya course? Yes, they do a part-time Alimiya course. It runs in the evenings, Monday to Friday, on different days, depending on which class it is. So the first years run on Mondays and Thursdays. Allahumma salli ala Nabina Muhammad. If a person did not pray during their lifetime as a responsible adult, can they have a janazah? Yes. Every Muslim deserves a janazah. Upon entering Medina, after establishing the masjid, the very next thing that Rasulullah did was to go to the marketplace. Clearly, he understood the need for autonomy as money talks. 100%. I think that is the next thing we need to look at now. I think the next, when sometimes you think in the next 10 years, what's the main thing scholars are going to be talking about? I think it's going to be about financial. Because you see these guys popping up now talking about Muslims, being more manly and taking control of their finances and being independent, all that. But we really need it as a community. We need to show Muslims that, look, Muslims need to have a system which makes them which means self-sufficient, or independent. I have just sent an email to you with the attached job description. Jazakallah khair. Okay, let me have a quick check of it. My browser. Okay, let's see. Okay, Hussein. Okay, all right, I'll have to check this in the week then, because it's quite long. I thought it's just going to be a short description. Inshallah, I'll have a check in the week, and then I'll let you know by next week. All right, so Mufti, what is the ruling on consuming camel bowl and by the way, bowl means urine, camel urine, and cow urine, saying, well, because I think YouTube censors the English words. Oh, does it? Well, too late now, because I said it, and I've said it in my Quduri videos loads of times. So anyway, so what is the ruling of saying this? So about camel's urine. So what is the ruling on consuming camel's urine? According to Imam Malik, Imam Muhammad as well, it's permissible to drink. And according to Imam Hanifa and Imam Shafi, not allowed. Imam Abu Yusuf, not allowed. I feel that getting in the inner circle of shuyukh is pretty hard since they're already so busy. Yeah, it's true. because there's so less of them. That's the thing. That's the honest truth. Like, like if someone, like, like a petrol kind of thing. When your petrol, the needle is on the light is on in your car. That's literally where we're in at the moment with the number of scholars that we have. And every year there's less and less people interested in becoming like full-time scholars because the interest is dropping. There's not enough income. They want a higher income. They want like 40K a year. They want 50K a year, 30K a year, and you're not going to get that with unfortunately like a scholar's job. دع ما ادعته النصارى في نبيهم واحكم بما شئت مدحا فيه واحتكمي وانسب إلى ذاته ما شئت من شرف وانسب إلى قدره ما شئت من عظم فإن فضل رسول الله ليس له حد فيعرب عنه ناطق بفمي. واه 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 क्या बात है قصيدة بردة. Leave all the Christian. Beautiful. What is the meaning of insan according to Arabic root word? So there's ikhtilaf in this. We don't really know 100% where it's from. Some say it's from the word uns, which means to feel comfortable, uns. And some say it's from the word nisyan, to forget. Cow urine is the same. How hard did you find learning Arabic when you first started? I found it very hard because I jumped into the deep end. All my teachers spoke Arabic. All the books were in Arabic. The lessons were in Arabic. So I had to like learn it like really hard, put all my effort in. Okay. If daughters are Rahma, what are sons then? They are Rahm. No, they're both the same. I mean, I think this is just like a Pakistani thing where Pakistanis, they say daughters are Rahma. Yeah. It's like one of those kind of things. All children are mercy from Allah. Rahma means mercy. All children are mercy from Allah. I think there's more emphasis put on girls in Pakistani Asian communities because the way Asian cultures treat their girls compared to their boys. That's a sad reality. That's why people had to put a lot of emphasis on the importance of girls. As for example, like Arab societies and other societies that I've got friends, their daughters, they don't have this problem that having Asian families. Like the son in the Asian families, the son can get up at 11 o'clock in the morning and the family would have to make breakfast for him. And the girl, if she gets up late, she gets told off. Yeah, so it's one of those kind of strange. I think it's like from my knowledge, I think it's a Pakistani, and I'm from a Pakistani background, so it's in our kind of culture as well. I came across a book in Urdu Islamic history, Tarikh Ummati Muslima, very good so far. Any thoughts? I have never come across it before. MashaAllah. If you are benefiting from it, excellent. Read as much as you can, I would say. Make notes, read as much as you can, definitely. Who is the author, by the way? Is the father, so Islamic obligation to provide for his children only until they're 18? Yes. Yeah. And in fact, only until they are like adults and able to support themselves. And the girl until she gets married. Alhamdulillah, I've got a contact of a local Birmingham alim, but he doesn't do much in terms of teaching. I see. Alhamdulillah barik. Is it fard upon a wife to give her own zakat, either she is working or not? Yes. If she has over the nisab, over the threshold, she has to give. Is there an Islamic obligation upon a son to look after parents in old age? It's upon all the children to look after their parents, not just son. Yeah, all have to take care. So basically, the way they say is the children have to take care of their parents according to and financially support them if they need it, according to how much inheritance they would have received. Are you Pathan? I am Pathan. No, I'm not from Gurushti. In Pakistan, we say bete ni'mat hai or betiya rahmat hoti hai. Yes, that's a Pakistani hadith. Thoughts on the Masnawi? I have not read the Masnawi, so I wouldn't be able to comment. Mufti, if I do to bad advice, stop paying my zakat at the date at which I came in possession of nisab and started paying in Ramadan, should I continue paying in Ramadan? If it's difficult for you to track back to your old date, just stick to Ramadan, inshallah. Because I know it's a very hard thing to do. What tips do you have for working physically demanding jobs during Ramadan? Try to get your boss to give you some early time Ask your boss if you can go home early in Ramadan, and then make that time up later. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can negotiate something with your workplace. Alhamdulillah, I don't have that problem. I work in Ramadan as well, but we only have like half a day, so it's kind of like okay for me. And teaching is difficult in Ramadan. I get very tired and very thirsty, lethargic. What tips do you have for because some close thinking of the son being the one who takes care of the parents leads to people to favorite sons and daughters are viewed as, yeah, I think it's like an old kind of it's a pre-modern sort of like notion in the world where usually the boy was like the strong one that would work on the farm, who'd work on the field, the daughter would be in the house, and the daughter was the one that would provide. Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense in that times. And then because most of our families who are from India subcontinent came over and they still had this mindset when they came to this country, it still prevailed. And tips for lethargy: exercise, do regular, cut down on unhealthy food. Only eat like fast food twice or maximum 3 times a week. Seriously, make sure you eat the right amount um, of nutrition, vitamins, minerals. Yeah, it's very important. I think a lot of our youngsters, a lot of youth, Muslim youth, because fast food is cheap, they just go for that option. It's very important to take care of your health. A strong believer is better than a weak believer. Part of that hadith means being strong, as in health wise as well. You could be physically strong, but inside you're all messed up, cholesterol and liver problems and diabetes and all this. Do you eat meat often? Yes, I love meat. Like honestly, I am addicted to meat. Yeah, I love meat so much. I can't explain how much I love meat. I nearly every day I eat meat. I mean, it depends on different types of meat. Sometimes fish, I call that meat. Chicken, red meat. Uh, do you eat things like crisps? Sometimes, very rare. Maybe like in a week, I might eat it like twice a week, maybe. Yeah. So I only eat twice a day, by the way, guys. I told you this many times. I just eat a big breakfast in the morning before I go work, and then I eat about between 4 and 5. That's the time I eat. Now, sometimes I might go over that time, sometimes a bit less, but twice. And when you eat proper twice a day, you are going to feel hungry in the middle of the day. So what I do is I actually drink, these herbal teas, green teas throughout the day, and that kind of suppresses my hunger. And alhamdulillah, I mean, I do get hungry without a doubt. I'm not going to say I don't, but being hungry is part of being human. Humans were supposed to be more hungry than they are full. That's how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be most of our time we're supposed to be hungry and less time full. But unfortunately nowadays, because people nibble on foods and people eating here and there, the people will just, like, you can almost say, will not even feel hungry anymore. And that doesn't seem to be healthy. And Ramadan really shows that. When Ramadan, people's bellies are rumbling. That's the kind of, yeah, that's a nice feeling. That is, I like that feeling when you feel like nice and hungry, and then you have a nice big meal. Um, okay. Next question. Suggestions. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go for cheap meals. Go for quality. Quality is worth it because quality digests very well. So I don't know. I mean, what you would buy cheap meals? Just get your normal groceries. Yeah, but make wholesome food. Have some roti salan. Yeah, I sometimes have roti salan. Are there any events happening at Sofa in the upcoming months? Yes, I'm going to have a dua course next month, inshallah. On the 11th of March, a dua course. Dua. Sheikh Abdul Rahman Gera once said he was basically semi-vegetarian. That's a good one. What kind of meat do you buy? I find all sorts of meat. There's actually some butchers, I will tell you. They're a bit expensive. There's 3 butchers I go to. And I'll tell you from cheapest to expensive. Number 1 I go to is one that's near my house. It's a very good butcher. The meat is very good quality. Like when you cook it, it doesn't smell. You can tell good meat when you smell it. And when you taste it, obviously, as well. Number 2 is I go to the place called in Wolverhampton called Malik Butchers. That's very, very good. That's probably the cleanest butchers I've ever seen. Yeah, cleanest Muslim butchers I've ever seen. And they have all these different types of cuts. It's clearly more expensive than the non-butchers, but the meat is worth it. And then number 3, there's an online one called Hill Farm Finest. Hill Farm Finest. That's a bit expensive. In a year, maybe I'll order that maybe 3 times a year. A whole kind of like a package of food, package of meat. So I'll eat all sorts of kind of like ribs. You know, I'll eat very rarely will I eat mutton. I'm not eating mutton that much. Lamb, beef. I was actually supposed to get deer meat last week, but the guy didn't have any. Yeah. What kind of meat do you buy? Many say too much meat is not good, as animals are often pumped and bumped. Yeah, that's true. You know, I try to ignore that kind of, but I can't help it. I just like meat a lot. Is natural calamity a test for punishment? It can be both. Do you buy standard meat from shop or organic fresh? So I try to get more organic, like good quality one. Pathans are famous for their love for meat. Definitely, we are 100%. I've never come across a Pathan who is a vegetarian. My brother's wife, she's a convert, and she's a vegetarian. So when she comes down, like when we have like family gatherings, they have to make like a special dish for her, like a vegetarian dish. Can a woman who is in her menses teach Arabic and tajweed? Like she will have to write the Arabic letters and sentences. Yes, there'll be scope for that. I'll tell my mister to cook meat for you. Yes. Prawns, bro. Kitabe. I want some proper prawns. Nice. What are your thoughts on dal lentils? Yes, I like dal. I like dal a lot. Especially when it comes to, the kind of yellow big dal. The bigger they are, the better they are. With roti, that's a lovely one with roti. Masoor dal. Gandalf the White, for good health, eat what comes naturally out of the earth and avoid processed food. Yes, processed food are the worst, guys. Honestly, now this is something I've learned in the past few months. I would say, if you eat carbohydrates like breads and rotis and rice and these kind of things, different types of all these foods that you eat, which are called carbohydrates, they break down into sugars at different speeds of time in the day. The faster they break down and you don't use them up, they're stored as fat in your body and your body gets fatter. That's the dangerous thing. The idea is carbohydrates are supposed to be like you light a fire and you throw wood in there. Yeah. So that's what it is basically. It's like the wood for your burning your body. And then proteins are good for building muscle building and other benefits as well. So you want to have a right balance. You need enough carbohydrates to be able to maintain your day, to feel energetic enough to do your work. But you need to know how much to take in. Sugars, just eating sugars, things that have a lot of sugars in there, very, very bad for you. Try to not eat refined sugars. And I don't take sugars in my tea, but I like cakes. That's the only weakness I've got. I like cakes. Can you shortly summarize Atomic Habits? No, I can't. I said you go into Google, go into YouTube, you'll find a summary there. Is it permissible for a mentally disabled person to shave their beard? Yeah, they're not held responsible. You go from Birmingham to Wolverhampton, a bit far. Yes, it is far, but it's about basically. I live close the north of Birmingham, so I'm closer to Wolverhampton. It takes about 20 minutes to get to Wolverhampton from my house. I find like 90s and 2000s was a big rise in seeking ilm. Today's time, people don't really care anymore, have commitments. Yeah, it's true. I agree. Due to it being difficult to maintain, have you had maghaz and kaleji? Yeah, in Pakistan, I used to have that a lot. Katakat, they used to call it katakat. Is there a decline or reduction in people seeking traditional ilm? There's a big decline in the UK. Like it's a serious decline. Like people going on about climate change and no one's saying anything. Yeah, there's a big decline in the UK. And the problem is because of the social media, it's like covering it up. Social media with people coming out with their fatwas and blah, 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 this and that. I feel there is a decline since a lot of people are moving online. Yeah, 100%. Do you have any tea today? Yes. This is my tea. It's almost finished. This is a nice tea. This is a strange, like a mint tea, but it's very, very strange. Very organic. What do you for big breakfast? So big breakfast depends what I'm going to do in the day. So if I'm going to go for a big ride, I'll have I'll blend oats, oats and bananas and milk and dates and kale and some, berries. Put them in a blender, blend it all, make that a milkshake. I'll make some toast. I usually have homemade bread. I've got a bread maker at home, so homemade bread, and sometimes I'll have with that maybe some salmon. Depends. Sometimes I'll have with that um, like honey. Sometimes I like marmalade, and egg. So fried egg sometimes boiled egg. Um, yeah, that have that, and then sometimes with cereal with that. That's if I'm going on a ride. If I'm not going on a ride, then in the mornings I'll just have I'll have a small bowl of cereal, like without sugar. Cereals that have very, very less sugar content. Look for the ones that have less content, like granolas, and then have that milk, bananas, have homemade toast, bread, brown bread, and egg. Okay, I'm gonna have to finish now, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna have to finish because I just realized the time now. Today's time flight. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button, guys. Uh, so I'm just gonna try to answer the questions, which are the ones that are quite serious. Assalamu alaikum Abu Bakr. Ahlan wa sahlan. Can you explain the hadith Allah subhanahu will cause his servant to sin because he loves to see him? Do you have the wordings for the hadith? Yeah, if you have the wording, I can look in the wording. I can't remember the wording exactly. Do you like king prawns? Of course. King prawns. I love king prawns. No more dark chocolates. Did you get to meet Mufti Zaid Ali Khan? Yes, I met him, but I didn't meet him very, very personally. According to hadith, if you raise a daughter according to Islamic rules and she is righteous and you're promised Jannah, why is this not for boys? This is generally because generally women are the ones that are looked down upon in society and abused a lot. So the Prophet ﷺ was elevating the status of girls in the society because that was a society that was normally looking down upon girls, or treated as second class, unfortunately, in the Arabs. What constitutes imitating disbelievers? Anything that's specific to their religion or frowned upon by Islam. What jobs have you had in the past? A waiter. I used to be a waiter in a restaurant. Wa alaikum assalam. In your Usul beginner course, in which lesson did you talk about the combining of haqiqat and majaz, the jama between the both? I talk about, I can't remember which from the top of my head. I think it's lesson number 14 or 13, I think. Not sure if it's too detailed for live, but I heard Asha'ira say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't have. Okay, too detailed. Also, to add on this, average human body has 7 liters of blood and healthy sugar level is 1 teaspoon. We need carbs but high in fiber. That way, less is absorbed. Okay, yeah, excellent, excellent. I've heard something similar. But yeah, Jazakallah khair for mentioning that. Salam Sheikh, how are you? I'm very good. Thank you very much, Zainab. What's your advice for me improving my Arabic understanding? I'm at Hidayah level. So what I would say is read as many Arabic storybooks as you can. I always say this, and I'm always going to say it. Read as many Arabic storybooks as you can, because there is nothing that can help you in your Arabic more than Arabic storybooks. Seriously, nothing out there that can help you. Yeah, just put my phone on charge. It's like coming to its mode. Yeah, so seriously, Zainab, you need to really consider reading as much Arabic as you can. And Arabic storybooks are good because they're enjoyable to read. Right? Your Arabic should be at such a level that you can just listen to Arabic, read Arabic, hear Arabic, and you'll know exactly what they're saying. And that's storybooks are the best way to get that. Textbooks, the problem that madrasa students do is they learn Arabic through textbooks. Imagine you're learning English through maths books or biology books or chemistry books. First of all, the language is not normally used on daily basis in these books. And number two is it's very technical. It requires explanation. That's why students get fed up of Arabic. They get tired of Arabic. It's too hard. It's not hard. How comes kids can learn storybooks and enjoy it? Yeah, that's what you need to do. What's the first meat place you mentioned before Malik and Hill Farm? It's my local butcher, basically. My local butcher. It's nothing, no one famous, but their meat is like, compared to everyone else, their meat is very nice. But not Medina books are good. I mean, Medina books are good to start your Arabic journey, but they're not good to give you a wide horizon understanding of Arabic. Textbook have a lot of jargon, definitely, and that's what people. This is why I think we're putting a lot of people off learning Arabic simply because we think they have to learn it through the textbooks, and that is a sad reality. People should the Arabic should be so good, and they should enjoy it so much that they should want to pick up books and read them. But in madrasa students, they don't want to pick up any other book. Like they study in madrasa and they don't want to touch any of the book. It's like haram for them because they feel like some sort of like a disparagement. Jazakallah khair. Ahlan wa sahlan. You're welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna leave it there. So, Jazakallah khair. I may not be putting up videos this week because I've got my my holiday this week. Well, in the daytime I've got my holiday. In the evening I'm teaching. So that's why I want to try to use as much time as I can to try and to get all my reading done that I have to do. So inshallah, I will see you guys next time. May Allah bless all of you people for watching and bearing with me. MashaAllah, today we've actually gone over 2 hours. We haven't done this for a very long time. And I do apologize if anyone has. Some people say that I look very angry when I'm on live stream. Yeah, I think I am that kind of guy. I'm a kind of guy who kind of looks this kind of like very serious. Yeah, my eyebrows kind of thick eyebrows. I look a bit kind of like dangerous. But I think I don't know. That's how I am. So I do apologize if I do come across a bit rude or maybe abrasive. But I try to answer your questions as best as I can. And Jazakumullah khair. I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.